There is a moment in every life when you decide to rise, to stand taller than your fear, to speak louder than your doubt, to chase the vision that sets your soul on fire. This is that moment. And here, we walk it together with stories that awaken, voices that inspire, and truths that set you free. This is Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where hope has a voice, and that voice is yours. And welcome. I got to tell you, folks, I say this all the time, Rochelle, I know, but this is going to be an extraordinary show. And then not that some of them aren't, they all are, but there are some that just resonate with me on a more meaningful level. And our guest today, she's one of those, if you know what I mean.
Yes, she is.
And so we are going to magically go into the time tunnel here because in her world, it's 10 o'clock tomorrow. I got to ask you, Sandy, did we have a good evening?
You did, yes, definitely.
Sandy Banfield is our guest, and she is a business coach, and she is a manifester like nobody's business, and she can help you live your best life in a myriad of ways. And I told her before the show began, when we talked originally, I said, I manifested Rochelle. And she knew exactly what I meant, didn't she, Rochelle?
Yeah, she did. She understood it. The vibration and the other place that your brain takes you, where you're more connected to your soul who is speaking. It's not thoughts. It's more of a feeling. So what do you think about that, Sandy? I bet you've had so many experiences like that.
Yes, and I love talking about this topic. So I just want to say thank you so much for having me. I'm really grateful to be here. What you're talking about is what I call your intuition. That's the fundamental thing that we are connecting to, is the core source of what is within us. And when we really slow down, or when we can sort of, even if in the crazy big, like noisy world that we're all in, if we can just take those little micro moments and come back to that part of us, that's when we can start manifesting from, when we can start listening to what it is that we truly desire. And that's what I teach in my work. So,
and I got to ask you, either this is true or I need to be on medication, but since 2002, when I started doing the radio shows, everything has lined up in the time that it's supposed to happen for me, including Rochelle joining the show a couple of years ago. And all of the things, from going from KLAY in Tacoma to KKNW in Seattle to the Brushwood Media Network now, to having 2,700 plus shows out there, it's all been like manifest destiny and by design. Is that possible?
Absolutely. It means you're just on that right vibration. So the more that you tune into that, the more of that you're pulling in towards you. So as soon as you have that kind of connection and you're like, okay, yeah, this is happening, and you're trusting it, you're believing it, you go more into opening to that vibration. And then all those things will start like landing in your lap, and you're like, okay. And you're also more aware, you're seeing the signs, you're being more aware of what is actually happening rather than sort of being dismissive. We've all got this ability. Not one of us is any more special than the other. It's just once you wake up to it and once you sort of see those signs, you start to see that they're happening, and it just sort of, it's like a domino effect.
It's remarkable when you start looking and you pay attention. Because a lot of us spend our time, we're so busy and we're going here and we're doing that and stuff. But there are moments in time, and Rochelle, when Dana, who's a mutual coach of ours, when she called you, that was a moment in time for you. Would you explain that?
Yeah, it was like, I would describe that as like a timestamp. It's a core memory. If we watch the movie Inside Out, how they have those certain memories that are kind of what have been the biggest building blocks. And that's when I realized that moment that my intuition was much greater than I was aware of. So touching into that brought intuition and awareness right there, smack dab in front of my face. And I trusted it and I followed it. And now I'm here, and I've never looked back. And I never thought I would be doing something like this. I never thought the impossible became reality.
Mm.
And I didn't really have to fight or force or push or pull. I just let it be, which is something Kevin taught me when I first started with him. And it used to drive me crazy because we love to complicate things.
Mm.
And it's frustrating to think that it's so simple, but isn't it so simple in a way?
It is really simple. I think the thing that I find a lot with the clients that I work with is we do overcomplicate things. We let what I call the mind monkeys get involved. So we might have that, when you have that intuition, and I'm going to sort of give you an example of how people can sort of, really kind of recognize it. We've all had it, and especially when we're kids and maybe when we're younger as well, you'll remember a time when you actually have the absolute knowing about something. It might be when you met your partner, it might be when you got offered a job, it might be when you found your home. With that absolute knowing, without any questions asked, like Michelle, you said, you knew and you trusted. That is it.
Yeah.
You followed. You didn't let any of those, what I call the mind monkeys, like jump in and make you sort of get you off course. So when you really trust that and you follow through, it is easy, it is seamless, it does all just fall into place because you're not allowing the other sort of energies to come in to kind of get you off course. And that's when it just lines up. And it seems very simple. It's just we have to really what it seems, we're on a radio station, but you really have to tune in and really trust and follow through on what that is, where that's leading you.
And Sandy, tell me if this is true, because I believe it to be true, and therefore I don't believe it to be true anymore. I know it to be true. I had a friend, and we were doing learning about meditation and mindfulness and all these different things. And he came to me one day out of the blue, and he said, "I want you to go to a metaphysical bookstore, and I want you to now you can go to Barnes and Noble or any of those places, and you can go through the aisles." And he said, "I want you to buy the first book that speaks to you." And I said, "I have no idea what you're talking about." But I went, and the book, Journey of Souls, which has become a fundamental book in my life, was there. And I didn't question it. I just picked it up and bought it, took it home, and that was the end of that. And then and stuff. Is that divine inspiration? Is that what that's all about?
That is your intuition. And that's what I sort of teach in my work, is when you are not overthinking things. It's the first thing that comes to your mind, that you go in, you walk into a shop. I mean, I work with crystals all the time. When I teach about crystals, you walk into a crystal shop, you will go and be drawn to the crystal or the book or the oracle card deck that you need at that time. And you don't know why, but you just go in, you don't question it. There's different techniques you can do. I usually you'll just be drawn to something. But if you've got, like, say, a tray of crystals, I would just hover my hand over the crystals. I don't need to do that now, but that's what I sort of teach my students. And you will just go with what you're drawn to. And the first thing, without questioning, is what you need. So that is a prime example of what you've just shared with us. And once you kind of do that more and you trust that, you don't even question it. You just go in. I will just go in and I will pick up a book, or I'll pick up a card deck. I will do whatever my intuition is telling me, and I don't question it anymore, at all.
And the same thing happened to me. I went to a psychic fair, and I was late, and they were closing down. And I wanted to get some oracle cards or some Ouija cards, some sort of deck of cards, and I didn't know what. And so I went to the lady, and she was packing up, and she disassembled her credit card machine, so she couldn't do that and stuff. And I said, "I'm looking for a deck of a deck that I can use." And she said, "Well, look in that box." So I opened up the box, and this appeared at the very top, and she said, "Oh, that's brand new." And I said, "Well, I need to buy this," and I only had like $12 or $13, and she said, "Okay, that's enough," and stuff. So, but those things happen if you pay attention to them, don't they?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Your awareness just becomes bigger. You are sort of just working in this beautiful energy, and that's kind of what I hope to do through my work and through my teachings is just remind, we've all got this within us. And the more that we kind of tune into that, we become more aware of our surroundings. We really start trusting ourselves. I think in this big wide world at the moment, we've got so much noise happening and we keep looking externally for everything. And I think the really key important lesson that I always want to remind people is actually we've got all this within us. And it's just learning to trust that and to learning to trust those experiences, to, you know, just trust that guidance. It's your own internal compass. And we've kind of forgotten about it over many, many years. You know, our ancient, you know, wisdom has kind of been forgotten along the way.
Oh, exactly. It's the weirdest thing. It's like muscle testing. You're familiar with muscle testing, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And I did this today, Brichelle, and because I was contemplating having surgery on a part of me, and so I did. Now, muscle testing for me is where you take your fingers and you intertwine them so they're like they're interlocked, and so I tested it to see if I should have the surgery, and it said no, you shouldn't. But for me, so I canceled it. For me, that's a validation that that's what I should do. But why don't we believe it? Why don't we trust it?
It's a really good question. I think it's not always that we're trusting it, but we've just got so much noise going on around us. And I think because of that, we don't really give ourselves a lot of time. We don't give ourselves a lot of what I would say permission to just sort of actually have that time just to slow down. And once you slow down and you can listen, otherwise you do have the noise of the world, or you have the kind of negative self-talk, or you have all those other things that are popping in that kind of can, I just think, throw you off course. But there's ways that you can just bring yourselves back without, you know, there's lots and lots of different tools, and I can actually share some with you today of how you can just bring yourself back to start listening. And once you start, like, you know, it is like the muscle testing. Once you start flexing those muscles a bit more, you don't really always need to use the tools. You can just start doing it automatically. So like now, over many, many years of doing this work, I don't necessarily need to do the tools that I teach. They sometimes help me if I've been thrown, of course, because we're all human. But yeah, it's just learning, and it's like training yourself. It's like, you know, you're going off course, but just bringing yourself back in line, in alignment.
I got to ask you this, because whenever one of those things happens, I will tend to, I'm not a big prayer and I'm not a big meditator, but I do talk to my guides. And so I'll say thank you. Do they appreciate that, do you think?
Absolutely. A lot of this is just, it's having confirmation. So once you've had that experience, you know, it makes you confirm what's happened to you. You have another experience, you know, and you say thank you to your guides. They're definitely going to be, they're there all the time, supporting you. That's what they're there for. So yes. And it's just recognizing and, recognizing that they are there. These experiences are happening to you, that it's not you just going crazy, that, you know, when you become more intuitive, you walk through your life more intentionally. And so you're not so reactive to things. You're actually, you know, being more open, more aware. It's just a much better, beautiful experience to have in your life than just reacting to what's going on around you.
It is, for me, it's marvelous. Brichelle, how about for you? Are you discovering that more and more?
Yeah, it's very peaceful. And I noticed things that I didn't before. And I was thinking to myself, because I used to always think, well, my intuition, it was wrong. And if you're listening to your intuition, it's not wrong. It never is wrong. It's there to teach you. And that can be persuade, however our brains and our little monkey minds like to pick it apart. But there's peace in living like that. And everything around you changes. People treat you different. Your relationships change. It changes you at a foundational level when you follow your intuition, because you're actually doing what is best for you. And we naturally try to fight that, probably because of fear, which is normal. But acceptance and forgiveness, I've been hearing come up a lot. And I've thought to myself, how powerful those two words really are when they're in your day-to-day life. So I want to take this break, and then I would love to hear your thoughts and your learnings on how important it is when you forgive and just trust in who you are and figuring that out in a very non-judgmental way. And then I want to talk about your company too. So Kevin, you take us to break.
I will take us to break, but I just wanted to say, and I just forgot what it was that I was. Oh, I know. I had a coach who helped me find my way to understand how this all works. I did I say highly recommend that you find somebody who resonates with you? And Sandy is a wonderful teacher, and she is in Australia. I wish I could have it. But she's in Australia, but she can do it virtually, and she can help you because we all have it within us. We just don't really know, and we're told our whole lives, no, you don't. Well, you know what? Yes, we do. We'll be right back. For way too long, we've allowed shadows to dictate our steps. Our clamor of division, the whisper of fear, and the harsh grip of hate. They've tried to define us. But this is our moment of truth. We remember who we truly are, not just separate islands, but a vast ocean of shared humanity. We declare our independence from the narratives that have pulled us apart. We choose curiosity over judgment, empathy over indifference, understanding over accusation. This isn't about ignoring our differences. It's about celebrating the strength woven into our tapestry. It's about remembering that progress isn't built on exclusion, but on common ground. So let the banners of kindness fly high. Let the anthem of unity ring out. This is our declaration, our independence from what limits us, our freedom to truly connect. Because together we are stronger. And together, we are free. And this declaration is brought to you by Positive Talk Radio. And welcome back to Positive Talk. My name is Kevin. Brachelle's right there. Sandy Banfield is with us. And Sandy, I got to tell you, when you see something really cool, do you give it goosebumps? Every time I say that, I get goosebumps, which means for me that it's real and it's true. Is that a good indication?
That's a really good indication. Yes. Yep.
And Brachelle, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I got excited there. So
it's okay. No, and I'm gonna kind of rephrase my question because really, I want what I want to know that of what you've learned. What are some of the main things that a person needs to look inward on and work on to be in tune with their intuition rather than just the mind and feelings?
What they need to work on? First of all, it's just giving themselves the time, whatever they've got. It doesn't have to mean you have to be up a quiet mountain for an hour to go meditate. If you've only got a few minutes a day, you can start there. When I work with my clients, I would do a lot of journaling. Journaling's a really amazing tool that everyone can start with. And you can just start with 2 minutes, you can start with 10 minutes, but I make sure that they put it into their diary. They don't have to do it every single day. They can just block out 5 minutes once a week and just keep that as an appointment, like you would a doctor's appointment. And then they can start just allowing themselves that time just to actually slow down. If meditation is your tool, it's finding the thing that you resonate with. Like Kevin said, he doesn't really meditate, so maybe meditation isn't his thing. Journaling or going into a bookstore, getting yourself an oracle card deck, or just allowing yourself to start with 5 minutes, and then you can build upon that and build upon that. And once you start to see that you're giving yourself this time, this spaciousness, this sort of time becomes bigger, spaciousness comes around you, and you can start allowing that time for you to really start to tune in. So there's many tools that I can sort of share with you, but journaling's a really good place to start. Meditating's a really good place to start.
That's very good advice. And you have a website, which is businesslifemagic.com. It is absolutely stunning, by the way. I love it. It
Thank you.
makes me feel magical just looking at it.
Thank you.
As the, when people come in tune with their intuition and they start having all these things hit them and they maybe feel like they all of a sudden don't know what to do, is that where you are able to step in and help them through the work that you started?
Yeah, absolutely. So I run a lot of in-person events. I'm actually going to be putting a lot of those online next year. So all my lovely people in America, and I'm obviously in Australia, but I have people in the UK as well. They'll be online, and I'll be doing a manifesting course and a vision board course next year. So a lot of the time, what I find with my clients is that they start tuning in, but they don't necessarily have the clarity. And so it's kind of combining your intuition, allowing you to find that clarity, because once we have that clarity, that's when you can start manifesting from. So we can talk about manifesting in a moment if you want me to delve into that a bit more. But yeah, it's really once they sort of start to get in tune with themselves, I sort of help them kind of unravel how to really start using their intuition, to start trusting it a bit more. And then the next stage is helping them get the clarity so that then they can go and manifest what they want. So it's sort of like a gentle sort of journey that I sort of take them on through my work. So
yeah.
And it is a journey.
It is, absolutely.
And it is, if you look at it in the, I don't say the right way, if you look at it in a way, that it can be a lot of fun. And your life becomes a magical adventure. And at least that's been my experience of life in the last 20 years is up or down, in or out. It's been a magical adventure. And I don't even know where it came from. Where'd it come from, Sandy? I don't know.
I don't have all the answers for that, I'm afraid, but I think just once you start following that path and following that journey, it does become exciting, because you're just like, okay, what's next, you know, and you're trusting, and it's like, okay, this door's opening, what's next for me, you know, even the opportunity for me to come onto the show, that's a new door for me. That's me trusting and stepping forward, and things that are kind of unfolding for me next year. I'm just kind of, a lot of the work that I have done through, you'll see on my website, it's all unfolded purely through intuition and by things unfolding. And sometimes I sort of like will start a project. It's like my journals, for instance. I was just doing that as a sort of a free download for my clients. And then I had people saying to me, I'd love this as a book. And then from nowhere, I had just the vision of the 6, just the covers. I didn't even know the content. So I had all those kind of mapped out, and I just followed my intuition, and that's where these things have unfolded. And now they're on Amazon, and you know, people are loving them. The same thing with the other products and the that I've got coming out next year. It's just been this journey, and it is magical, and it is fun, and it is exciting when you sort of like trust that process. You know, like Rochelle said, she got offered the job working with you, and you know, you trusted that. So it becomes this beautiful journey, and every person's journey is completely different, and that's the other exciting thing. It's different for every single person.
Yep. Sandy, I have to ask you, because I want to take it back a little bit on what okay, I need to figure out how to frame this out loud. Was it the intuition that guided you to realizing where your path followed and got you into doing everything that you're doing now, or was it going through the journey that you realized your capability of having that intuition, and then it took off from there, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think I started this work. So do you want me to go back into what happened to me?
I'd love to hear how it all came to be.
Time and tell us what happened.
So when I look back, and if you look back, you will know, and children are actually one of the best manifestors and the best at following their intuition. You know, if you look back from when I was younger, I've been manifesting, and I've been using my intuition since I was a child. I just didn't know what it was, or wasn't really in my awareness. And so I started my personal development journey probably in my late 20s, early 30s. And so I was already starting to be aware and reading these personal development books. And my first book was called Attitude is Everything. And it was this really small book, but it was just kind of me dipping my toe. And then when I was 32, I had a near-death experience. And for me, that was something that was very traumatic. But I'd already been on this personal development journey, but that near-death experience is what then I think was just shone the light on my intuition. I'm not saying that experience would have been any different had I trusted my intuition, but I ignored my intuition that day with that particular individual who unfortunately attacked me. And from that moment onwards, I was like, I'm never going to not trust my intuition ever again. But in the work that I've done and what's unfolded since then, I obviously don't want other people to have to go through severe trauma in order to trust their intuition. So it's just been part of that journey, and I've just been trusting it for my own healing. But because of that experience, the tools that I've learned on my own healing journey, and the intuition is the thing that I've come back to time and time again. I just felt that I really wanted to teach other people without having to go through trauma themselves. And so during lockdown in 2020, again, I was journaling and I was like, I've got all these tools, all this experience, all this life experience. And that's where this business life magic unfolded. And I'd actually had the handle for the name 5 years before. I just bought the URL. Again, I can't tell you why. It just popped into my head. I bought the URL. I had all my handles on Instagram. It was sat there as an empty account. And then I always thought at the time I would turn it into some sort of blog or something. And then 2020, it was just clear as day. It was like, put all of this that you know together and help people. Really, I guess my mission is just to help people really come back to themselves and really live the life that they want. It can be as big or as small as they want, but as long as they're capable of achieving it. So that's kind of it in a nutshell, I suppose.
That's amazing.
That is a great story. And for if you're out there in the audience and you're going, gosh, what is intuition? I have this monkey thing that's going on in my head and stuff. But let me give you a quick example, and you tell me whether this is true or not. You are in your home and you say, I need to go to the store. And so you start to head out the door. And then you remember, then you hear a voice in your head that says, don't forget your cell phone. And you go, oh, I'm just going to the store. It's not a big deal. I don't need it. And you leave without your cell phone. I guarantee you, chances are you're going to need your cell phone.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So don't argue with yourself. When you get that message, just do it. And not worry about it. And is that a good rule of thumb?
That's a really good rule of thumb. I think there's a real difference because we have a lot of mind chatter today, and especially if you're someone who has like neurodivergent brain. I've got like undiagnosed ADHD. I've got lots of thoughts going on. So it's really like, to know what the difference is between what's all this sort of, all these thoughts that are coming in, racing in. A good way that I describe it is those thoughts are very sort of rushed. It's sort of panicked. You've like got to do this. I've got to do that. When your intuition comes to you, like that thought of like, don't go out the door, or I shouldn't do this, or, it's really instant. It's really clear. It's very soft. It's kind of not a rushed panic kind of, some people might just get it as a feeling, not necessarily a voice. I get it as both. I get what I call a gut feeling. And I also hear, but it's just very sort of like calm, and it's just crystal clear. Yeah. And that's how I sort of describe the two. Whereas you've got a lot of mind chatter. It's kind of like busyness and panicked, I suppose, would be the difference.
And as you work through it, you develop the muscle, then that voice becomes a little louder and the chatter becomes less real.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. The more that it just becomes in tune. And then, the other thing is if you have a thought, then you can just feel it in your body. You will know, and I teach this to my kids, in a different way around sort of people and things, but you will feel it in your body. How does it feel when you're thinking about something? So I do this with my clients. They're saying, I want to go and do this. I want to go and move. And then I just get them to talk for a little while. And I'll just say to them, tell me a bit more about that. And you can see it in their body. They'll, you talk about the muscle testing. They show that physically, if they're really excited about something, they'll sit up, they'll start talking, they'll be like, if they're like, oh yeah, I really want to move house and I really want to do this, that's a different, they'll sort of come in on themselves. So that's also an indicator. You can't always do that with yourself, but once you sort of can take that, bring that awareness to your body, like how are you feeling in your body? Are you feeling good about that thing you're thinking about, talking about, or are you feeling heavy? That's your kind of indicator.
Rochelle?
Yes. Well, I have kind of a broad question, so I'm going to let you take us to our halftime break, and then I'll ask my question.
Don't forget.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
Are you looking for your daily dose of inspiration? Stay connected to all your favorite shows, music, and news with the Brushwood Media Network app. From Positive Talk Radio to Greatest Vibes Unplugged and so many more uplifting voices around the world, everything you need is right in one place. It's easy to use, too. Always available and designed to keep you inspired 24 hours a day. Go to brushwoodmedianetwork.com and download the app, and you will always have Brushwood Media available on your smartphone. Download it now and make inspiration and music and conversation part of your everyday. And welcome back to Positive Talk. Rochelle has a question.
Yes. Well, okay. So I'm wondering, because I've heard people say a lot that I used to have intuition. And one thing that I noticed in myself that I just want to know if it's common or if there was something that it was meaningful to it, is how Kevin was talking about that voice, that very peculiar one that's very straightforward and very direct. There's been times like, don't take that street, take a right here, do these kind of things. When I stopped listening to it, when I kept fighting it, well, it was really, I don't know what happened, but I was in like this egotistical self of me for a few weeks, and I was just fighting against everything. And as Kevin said, that voice that you work on gets louder. It also can get quieter. We can eventually shove that down. It could be one experience. It could be a buildup of things going on in your life and not having any time to slow down. But I realized that it just as easy as you can obtain it, you can also drown it without maybe realizing it. So how does that happen?
I think it happens to a lot of us. I think, like I said earlier, like we've all had that when we're young. Kids are like one of the most intuitive beings, and then somewhere through getting older and becoming adults, we do suppress it. We do forget about it. We do can push it down. So you're absolutely right. It's exactly like, have you been to the gym? Well, yes, I've been to the gym years ago. I stopped going. It's exactly the same thing. Is once you start tapping into that again, and what we've talked about earlier is like it's like building that muscle up again. It's just reminding yourself I think when people have pushed that down, it's just that they're disconnected. It never goes away. It's always there. So it's just like this disconnect. And once you can just give yourself permission to start trusting again, to start reminding yourself, remembering that you are this soulful being in this human body, that's when things just start unfolding. And it's just gentle, just ease yourself. You're not just going to go from jumping from, over here, over there, just in, it's more about starting small and just dipping your toe, like I did with my personal development journey. This has been a journey that I've been on for over 20 years. But my intuition has always been with me. It's just that I only, started learning to trust it more and more and more, to the point now that it's just my everyday existence. Did I answered your question exactly?
Yeah, that's perfect. Kevin, can I take it one step further?
You may take it 2 steps further if you won't.
Yes, just because I'm wondering, when the intuition does come back, and it sometimes is subtle, sometimes is like a ton of bricks coming off your back or landing on you. But in those moments, we tend to be like, oh, well, everything needs to change. And it stresses us out. We get fearful. We literally do the exact opposite of what brought the awareness and the intuition in the first place. What are some tools and tricks that you can use to not allow that monkey brain to attack you when you do realize there is a lot in your life that you want to change and you have to work on, and just being gentle with it?
Yeah. So what I do in my work, especially my visioning masterclass, is really we work through this, like get people to write down, because they usually want to, say they want a lot of things going on in their life. I get them to jot it all down, and especially my clients that work with my coaching, they want all these things to happen for them, all these things to unfold. What I want to do is bring it back to what is the one thing that they want to focus on right now. And it's not what they think they want, it's actually what they want, what I call it a soul level. And that is using your intuition. And once I help them get that clarity, it's really a very sort of simple process of just allowing them to tune back into themselves, and they get that clarity on what's the one thing that here's a question I always ask my clients and students is, if you could achieve one thing within the next 12 months, what would it be? And it's taking it a step further. So they're not just in their head saying, oh, I want this, but it's actually what they're feeling intuitively. And once they connect to that emotionally, they're more likely for that to happen, because it's an emotional connection. It's the intuition. It's an emotional, it's not just in your head. And from that place, that's where those things will unfold. Then you don't get all that negative talk, because you have absolute knowing that that is happening for you. So asking you when you got offered the job and you said you knew, you trusted, it's kind of feeling that you have with absolute knowing that this is what is meant to happen for you. As simple as just walking into the bookstore, Kevin, and you choosing that book. You just go in and that's the sort of thing that to keep coming back to. It's the intuition, it's the emotional connection. Then with that clarity, that's when you step forward, and you will have the mind monkeys jumping in at that point. Why do you think all the thing, are you worthy? Or, I don't think I'm capable. I don't think I can do this. So the tools that I would then put in place are things like writing affirmations to keep you on track, looking at it every single day to remind yourself, what I call wobbles. I will do journaling. So I'll have like complete wobbles. I go back to my journal, and it's just putting pen to paper. So it's so that you're not holding those negative thoughts, that negative energy within your body. Get it down on pen to paper. Journaling is such an amazing tool that is overlooked. Hence why I created my journals as well. But you can start just getting those things out that are really messing with your mind and just giving you all that negative self-talk to keep you back on track, so that you can keep going after your intuitive intention.
Beautiful.
Is it possible, at least in my world, this is what happened. I had a question. And the question was, why am I here? And what am I here to do? And I had no idea what the answer might be. I had no conception of that. But it led to different things lining up and happening. It's almost like the universe and my guides on the other side said, what? Wait, what did he say? Did he say he wants to know? Okay. Now we're talking. Now we can start lining stuff up. Is that possible?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's a very profound question, that, what am I here to do? And that it isn't always that clear cut. It's, like we're talking about the journey earlier, certain things are going to lead you on a path that are going to take you certain places. And that might not necessarily be where you're going to end up, but where you end up is actually where you're meant to be, and what all along. So for me, it's not a straight linear path. It's just, having the kind of courage to first, come back to that inner voice, that inner compass, trusting that, taking the next step, that then opens the door here, that then opens the door there. Without that I wouldn't have done that experience. It's the domino effect, I call, that will lead you to meeting the right people that have then opened the door to that when you end up. So your guides are there helping you. It's not just as a profound answer of like, okay, what am I here to do? And then it's just like clear on that, in front of you like that. So, for me, I started on my personal development journey. I didn't know I'd be doing the work that I'm doing now. Even this year, I'm bringing out stuff that I'm launching next year that at the start of this year, I wasn't really clear that was going to happen for me, but it's just as it's evolved and it's manifested, and I'm just trusting and following that journey. So, and for me, that's just really exciting.
As well it should be, because when you're excited about life and about what's unfolding in front of you, doesn't it mean that more things like that are going to fold in front of you? And you don't, and you said the magic word, I think, is trust. And trust that the universe has your back, because the universe has all of our backs.
Absolutely. And it's just you are trusting, and you're looking at things in such a beautiful way. And I also just want to remind your listeners that listening to intuition isn't, and Rochelle sort of touched on it, it isn't always sort of sunshine and rainbows and butterflies. Sometimes it can be quite confronting in a way that sometimes it's just like, oh, this doesn't make sense. Like I've had my intuition tell me, like, it doesn't make sense. And you're like, you're conflicted because you're just like, oh my gosh, but that's why I always say,
you have to do it.
Just absolutely know 100%. I've got to trust this. I'm getting goosebumps when I'm talking, actually. I just trust it 100%. It doesn't always make sense, but I tell you, on the other side, it always makes sense. I look back and I'm like, okay, yeah, that was why my intuition was telling me that. So I think that's just an important thing to remind people of. Just, it's not always that clear cut. It isn't always just like, we're just going to bounce along the rainbow over here. It can be a bit sort of confronting at times. So,
well, yeah, and go ahead, Rochelle.
Yes, it's because, Sandy, even when you're in tune with your intuition, things will still go wrong. People they think, and tell me, well, I know that you would agree that it is the most important time to trust in it more than you ever have is when those things go wrong, when they don't make sense, when you have no idea all of a sudden what the heck is going on. That's exactly when you need to trust it the most. What are some tips of ways to stop yourself in those instant moments where those monkeys are doing drugs in your head?
They're doing what happens to Rochelle. They're screaming at her. They're just going at her.
Well, I'd love to just share. I just love to share with you. Like in January this year, I actually was on holiday with my children in the middle of we're in the middle of nowhere camping, and I actually broke my foot and my ankle in 3 places.
Oh my God.
Ow.
And at that time, it's like the 11th of Jan. I was like, okay, trying to start the new year. And I had all my things that I had thought that were going to unfold for me this year. But what had unfolded was that I had been putting off doing my podcast for the last 2 years. So because I was stuck at home and I couldn't leave the house for sort of 6 to 7 weeks, I ended up launching my podcast. And then on the back of the podcast, the feedback that I got, I had been doing meditations for my clients and sort of sending them recordings and sort of sending it off to them. And then I sort of, again, following this intuitive journey, was like, okay, well, I was going to put it on an online platform. And then once I started using it, I was like, it's not so user-friendly. So from that, what I've now produced is a meditation app, which is going to be launching the end of this year, early next year. And all of that came about because I broke my ankle in January. So it's literally, if that hadn't have happened, and at the time I could have been like, oh my gosh, this is such a negative experience and I can't leave the house and why is this all happening to me? And, what have I done wrong? All these negative things. It's just looking at like, okay, there's a bigger plan for you. There's other things that are going to unfold because of that experience. So that's kind of sometimes life does happen to you. Life is going to happen. It's nothing, we can't avoid that. Things will happen to you, but if we become more intuitive, more intentional, and not just reactive to our outside world, it's going to just give you such a much better, beautiful experience in life. And you will end up somewhere where you don't even know that is already sort of got a plan for you, part of that journey.
Amazing.
Well, I gotta ask you, because in my world, be careful what you wish for. Because you're liable to get it, but it's not necessarily going to be exactly how you pictured it.
Absolutely, yes.
Because
no, Kevin, that's true. Because I was just thinking, like, I told Kevin the other day, I'm kind of scared of my intuition because then I do know things, and I want to know what you think of that when we come back, because Kevin had his own perspective too. If you'd like to share what you told me, Kevin, if you remember, because it was very peaceful what you told me. Do you remember?
Remind me. I've said so many things.
Yes, you have. You said All he said was, "It's okay." And those 2 words like stopped me dead in my tracks because I realized that it was a moment where my mind was empty. I wasn't feeling anything. I wasn't like, I almost like separated from myself. Because I have things that happen. And then I started to think, what if I know somebody's going to die and I don't stop it? What if, and all those fears kicked in. And he just said, "It's okay." And I was like, everything I just told you is not okay. That's why I'm telling you. So I'm curious on what you think of that and what advice you would give to someone who also experiences that when we come back from the break.
Okay.
And we're going to play something here, and we're doing this in tribute to Sandy Banfield because she is the light that can shine up in your darkness to illuminate the rest of your life. And we'll be right back. Here's another point to ponder by Positive Talk Radio. In a dark room, a single candle was lit. That tiny flame chased away the shadows, filling the space with hope. Your courage, your kindness, and your light may seem small at times, but it can change someone's entire world. Never underestimate the power you already carry inside. Even the smallest flame can ignite a fire that transforms lives. You are listening to Positive Talk Radio, where stories of hope come alive. And welcome back to Positive Talk. My name is Kevin, and Brachelle's right there, and Sandy Banfield is with us. And Sandy, did you get goosebumps when I played that?
I did.
That is always a clear indication.
It is. It really is. Yeah.
Feel it.
Yeah.
You feel it. The universe is working with you. And I'm so sorry for people, Sandy. And that's why I want people to really embrace this, because it can change their day-to-day lives. It can change their families' lives. The ripple effect can go into a huge pool of all the people that they know. And I just hope that they get the message. And I know that you're working every day to get that done. And congratulations and thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. I think for me, when me going through like severe trauma, and I've been through some of my darkest days, I think for your listeners, it's just to remind them that there is light at the end of that. I've overcome depression, anxiety, I've overcome severe trauma, and I'm now living this beautiful life that I have created just by following my own intuition and trusting that process. And Brachelle, you sort of asked me a question of what happens with people that might have those. Just remind me, what was your question? Just like would have those.
I asked you when you start to fear your intuition, because I don't think we have awareness of how much fear runs through us daily, just subconsciously, until it ties in with your intuition, and how to kind of work through that with yourself.
Yeah, so fear is a real low level vibration. We all have it. We need it in certain circumstances. And there is like a scale. I can't remember exactly where it is, but I can try and find it for you to share. But when we're feeling certain emotions, like it counteracts the other emotions. So fear, for instance, if we're feeling grateful or we're experiencing gratitude, you can't feel fear. So by following a gratitude process or being grateful for things will actually just dampen down those fears, those worries. So that's one way to do it. I find when I'm having those wobbles and the fears are creeping up and it's just really kind of manifesting in itself and it feels really heavy and dark and messy, just coming back to that gratitude, even if you're going through a really traumatic time, even if this is one small thing that you can be grateful for in your day, that you could just write down before you go to bed, it just kind of brings you back, and start repeating that every day. It's going to start lifting that sort of to the lighter energy. The fears are going to sort of fade away. And the other thing is just really, it's repeat, it's kind of cliche, but it's actually just making sure that you come back to the present moment. So that's why journaling, meditation, I'm teaching this to my kids at the moment, that when we sort of either going through depression or worries, it's usually sort of things that we're either worrying about in the past over here on this side. And if we're having anxiety, we're worrying about things in the future that haven't even happened yet. And it's reminding ourselves, and I'm teaching this very simply to my kids, is just like coming back here to the present moment. So that is just through your breath, it's through doing meditation, it's through journaling, it's through just, you can do anything arty, creative, so that you're not sort of veering off over here, worrying about things that haven't happened, or you're worrying about things that have already happened.
And that, by the way, is where Rochelle had gone at one point. Because of her intuition, she was, well, what about this? And I feel like this, and somebody's going to have this, and I don't know about, and you can't, it's none of your business. You can't control any of that. All you can control is control yourself. And by the way, Sandy, I love that you use the term wobble.
I do. Use it all the time.
In my mind's eye, there used to be, it used to be a blow up thing that it was bottom heavy, and it was like a clown or something, and you could punch it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
you could punch it and you could hit it, but it always came back up. And that I think that's a great metaphor for us, don't you think?
Absolutely. I have wobbles all the time, and it's just I do. It just, we're human. We're having this experience, and it's just about reminding yourself, we're all human. We can all worry about things, and we can, have these fears that creep up. But it is just reminding ourselves. But as soon as we come back to the here, the now, we stop worrying. You actually can't worry about things over there in the future, and you can't worry about things in the past when you're back here in the moment, the present moment. So that's where I think these tools, which are so simple, like journaling, your meditation, doing things like creative drawing or anything like that you feel drawn to, that you can just remind yourself. Breath work as well, becoming really popular. Sound as well. Sound's a really great one to really just bring you back. I'm now doing sound healing as part of my one of my tools that I'm offering. So sound's also a great thing. Getting yourself into certain frequencies and vibrations are just going to really bring you back.
And one thing I realized, Kevin, that just clicked, that you taught me, but it just makes sense right now in this moment, is the more you have gratitude for anything, the more you're manifesting and attracting your intuition to allow blessings to happen, to give you more to be grateful for. Right?
Absolutely.
From my perspective, the universe is dying for us to have a happy life.
Yep.
And so they're dying is the wrong word, but they are eternally grateful. They're living for us to have a great life. And when we help and accept those things and those gifts from them, that is just that makes their day, even though they don't have days and stuff, but that makes their world. And so that's why 20 years ago, Sandy, when you started on this journey, and you're nowhere near done, doesn't it excite you that every day something new happens, and it's going to be great, and does that mean that you don't stub your toe? Of course you're going to stub your toe. That's part of life. But it's how you decide you're going to live through that. But it's exciting. That's what the fun part.
Yeah, I think, stub your toe, break your ankle or whatever, you just, it's going to like unfold for you in ways. Yeah, it's going to unfold for you in ways that you just never imagined. And I think it just gives you this beautiful perspective when you're working from that beautiful, and what I call that energetic space, the intuitive space. You'd start to see things around you that you wouldn't have seen before, or the even smiles from a stranger in the street, things like that, these little just gentle things. That's what I'm saying, coming back to that gratitude. It could be anything your day, just to remind yourself what's happened to you that you can be grateful for, because it's there. It's just we're not always seeing it when we're kind of in these like heavier spaces.
Yeah. A good way to build gratitude that Kevin also mentions, that he also talks about and mentions, is sometimes going and just being there for somebody else makes you grateful for yourself, because you're able to be that person for someone. They show the gratitude to you. Acts of kindness are a great way for gratitude to grow outside of yourself and within you at the same time. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. I think it's kind of one of the fundamental things of just showing others around you that gratitude, that kindness, because it is that butterfly effect. Someone leaves your presence by having some nice interaction with you and being kind, they're more likely to do that themselves to someone else. It's that butterfly knock-on effect, domino effect.
Yeah.
It's remarkable, and how it all works. And when you look at it, it is orderly, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it kind of is and it isn't. I think it's just once you sort of are in that space, you're just open to things that will just come to you because they're meant to be there for you. It's part of that journey. And I think that's part of the excitement of the not knowing.
Exactly. And see, when I say it's orderly, that means that they know.
Of course, right? Yes,
they know what they're doing. But
they know. We don't.
We don't get the 50,000 foot view.
Yeah,
we're in the forest, and we get to see the tree ahead of us and the tree behind us, and then we start walking in the wrong direction, and then we hit the mud puddle and stuff, and they help us get back on the right direction. But they know where we're headed because we are the ones who established that before we were even born.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
And people think I need to be on medication when I say that, but I mean that sincerely.
Not at all. I agree with you. Yeah.
So, Michelle.
Yes.
Your turn.
Hey, as we sadly close out the show, Sandy, first we have to have you back.
Would you talk to Brushwood Media? We need to have 2 hours a day. And they listen to this show religiously.
Yes, let him know. So we have to have you back because we need another hour of your knowledge and your energy and to spread your message. Yes, we do. You're part of our family. And so is everybody who gets to listen to this. But I want to give you the last time to share all of where to find your books and the journals and the new things coming out that you have and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, okay. You can find all the details on my website, which is businesslifemagic.com. And I'm going to do a special page just for your listeners, which will have all the sort of the US things on there. So it's going to be easy for them to find. So I'll just do a /positive. So businesslifemagic.com/positive. And there'll be the links to my journals, which can be on amazon.com, which is the easiest way you can buy it through the website, but easier on there. And I'm just about to launch in the next 2 to 3 weeks my meditation app, which is called the Soulful Meditation Library. So, and I'm going to have a special pre-launch offer for your listeners as well. So they can go and download that and get some of my meditations, which start from like a minute to 3 minutes up to 15 minutes. So I'm trying to create mindfulness meditations that people can just, fit into their day very easily. And then I'll have online courses launching some February next year as well.
So that means, let me get this straight. You've got the app that's launching in a couple of weeks, which means you have to come back and promote that. And then you have a programs launching in February that you're doing. So you have to come back and promote that. So I guess you're just going to have to move in.
Or we could go to Australia.
Yeah, you could come visit here. It's nice and sunny.
Yeah.
Ain't no way. They got 9 of the most poisonous snakes in the world down there and big spiders.
You're okay in Sydney. You won't see any of that here. So.
Yeah, they got spiders that'll eat a cat. So I'm not going there.
Fine, I'll go for you.
Thank you.
Michelle, yes, nice and sunny at the moment. So.
Love that.
And a nice Australian bloke would be fun to date, and going to a pub with late at night would be fun too.
Yes. Lots of fun in Australia. The eyebrows. Well, Sandy, as we close out the show, I would love for you to share the last minute that we have. Anything that you would like to leave our audience with, just to think about for the rest of our day here in the UN.
Yeah, I think it's just that reminder, because life is full, life is noisy and hectic, and it really is quite simple just to come back to yourself, to really just tune into yourself, to trust that intuition. It's so simple these days just to do that, and just to give yourself permission to allow that to happen for you, that there is bigger things out there waiting for you. So
Beautiful.
And yeah, if you are having trouble believing any of this, you need to call Sandy. And her website again is
businesslifemagic.com.
businesslifemagic.com, and she can help you through it so that you can live the life that you wanted to live before you even got here. And if you don't believe that, I'm sorry, you will sooner or later. Rochelle, thank you for this day. We've had a great time.
Yes, we have. Thank you, Kevin, and thank you so much for spending this time with us, Sandy, and following your intuition and having it guide you here. It's been a blessing. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
And have a great day, everybody. Thank you for being part of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where stories inspire and voices remind us of what truly matters. May today's conversation give you hope, courage, and a reason to keep moving forward. And just remember, till next time, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got.